We obtained a little bit of footage tonight of Pat Craig testifying to try and take Tony the tiger away from Michael. So sit back and watch this.
Thank you very much. My name is Pat Craig. I'm the executive director of the Wild Animal Sanctuary. We're located in Colorado, and we're the largest and oldest large carnivore sanctuary in the Western Hemisphere. That's the sanctuary. Each of the animals that lives there lives in 20-acre habitats.
You're the largest.
Where they're natural spaces. They live with others.
Are the
of their own
oldest.
species. So tigers actually do like to live together. The only reason
Listen
they
to
live
this
separate in the
crackhead.
wild is because of food and breeding rights. In the sanctuary, the animals are neutered, and then there is no breeding, and then there's plenty of food, so they're actually very social at that point. So we have habitats with 5, 6 tigers in them, and there's no problem at all moving Tony and him getting into a nice big environment and actually having other friends, as Mr. Sandlin said today, would be a wonderful thing for him. So at least when you make that decision
Watch
today,
how
you
this
want to know whether or
crackhead
not
falls
he's got
flat
an
on his
option.
face
He's got
here in a minute.
the best option there is at the Wild Animal Sanctuary. Yeah, and especially the main thing that is important is the people that are quoted in here are all some are veterinarians and some aren't. But really, in 34 years, our facility has handled more large carnivores and more tigers than any veterinarian in this country. And our veterinarian and the veterinarians that we have
Our
would come here
veterinarian
today
has
and be glad to
handled more
testify
than
that there would
you
be
ever
no issue
thought
at
of.
all. And we're talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tigers that we've dealt with. And these people have dealt with 1 or 2 or 3. So even though they're veterinarian, they have a veterinary degree, true experience of moving these animals and dealing with them and their behavior. We have 34 years and hundreds of animals and cases where we've seen them from crawl spaces in their houses to truck stops like Mr. Sandlin's to everywhere. And I can tell you that experience exceeds anybody's in that sense, because it's not that I'm trying to bolster what I have or what we do. I can just tell you that we have veterinarians that come to our sanctuary all the time to learn, because we have so many carnivores that we deal with that we've become the experts.
And have your DVMs ever visited Tony to determine if he's in good health and if he's being treated well, and if in Tony's individual case it would be detrimental to him to move?
They visited the facility. They've never had an opportunity to inspect Tony. That wasn't allowed, but they visited the facility and they've seen it and they know his case, and they have no problem with it at all.
Okay. And then I see that there have been several deaths from at accredited facilities of tigers after being moved. Mm-hmm. Is that just part of the process? Is it just...
Well, it isn't for us. I don't know. Other facilities, everybody's different, but I can tell you we've moved more of the large carnivores than anybody by far and large, and we've never lost one moving one, ever.
Okay. I just want to make sure, before we make this vote, because
Absolutely.
the last thing I want to see is something happen to the tiger.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we feel is we're here for the tiger
He's
and
been there
nothing
for
else.
14 years. If he's been there for 14 years, and the last major citation that they had was in 2008, is he really in danger? Is he really in danger?
Well, that's just it. It's perception of what you would call a habitat. That's hardly what we call a habitat. I mean, a habitat is where they can actually freely roam.
And I understand that. But if he's been there for 14 years,
Right. We've pulled animals.
Is he really in danger?
Yeah, we've pulled animals. These are very hardy and resilient animals. We pulled them out of where they lived in a cage, a 5x7 cage, for 12 to 15 years. They'll
That's
survive.
not the case here.
Yeah, but they'll survive. It's just
Sure,
whether or
if
not.
you move him.
Yeah.
But my question is, do we need to move him? And you guys are saying yes. And I'm not disagreeing with you. Believe me, I agree with Representative Connick. I've been lobby heavy both ways, including at my home.
Absolutely.
So trust me, I get that. And I just want to make sure we're making the right decision.
Sure.
And if he's been
Now,
living in
that
this
was fucking
habitat
funny.
for
I don't
14
care
years
who you are.
successfully, there have been some citations that I can read.
Yeah.
But he appears, from the pictures that I'm looking at, to be in a good area. And I'm not disagreeing with you. I just want to know, if he's been there for 14 years, okay, why now all of a sudden is he in danger? And is it so critical to move him when it could stress him and cause his death?
It's actually been critical for many years. This has been a battle that's going on since I showed up at the truck stop a long time ago when we picked up his father's tigers. Mr. Sandlin had agreed to give these tigers as well and send them all to the sanctuary. They were all supposed to go.
Oh,
We actually
get
drove
out of
from
here,
Texas
Fly.
to his facility to pick those tigers up and take them. So this has been going on for over 10 years.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. I don't know if that's a
Pick his
real answer
nose.
to the question, but I
gotta learn
appreciate
this
it
green
because this is a
screen
tough
shit.
vote. What's the expected lifespan of a tiger, Bengal tiger?
In captivity, they can live to 23, 24, but in the wild, it's around 12 to 14, so it's a much tougher life in the wild. As they get older, they're just like people. They get cataracts, they get arthritis, all those things. And so having adequate medical care gets more and more important as this tiger gets older.
Well, let me ask you this. In your opinion,
Somebody
based
loaded
on
my
all of
pickle
the
juice
tigers that
tonight.
you've dealt with in the past, if Tony stays where he is in the environment that he's presently being housed in versus being moved, what's your opinion regarding his lifespan?
Well, I think it'll be severely shortened without the proper exercise. That's a big component, as all of us know. As we get older, you got to exercise more. You got to stay in shape.
I'll show you
If
some
don't,
exercise
then
here in a
you
minute,
will
buddy.
A lot quicker as you get older, and so I would put my reputation on that Tony won't live past 20 if he stays there.
Okay. I really appreciate your time. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, sir.
Think Tony could find a girlfriend at your place?
Wait,
And we
wait.
have quite
You
a
gotta-
few. And every animal that comes there, we don't ever force animals to live together. Every one of them always wants to live together once they're there and they feel safe and they realize there's plenty of food and nothing to compete about.
Get
And
it
they love to
back,
live together.
boy!
They actually
Yeah!
enjoy each other's company, and that's part of the mental health.
Thank you,
Okay.
Representative Billiot.
Yes, to the person with who just answered with the sanctuary. Over here.
Yes, sir.
At the time of removing the animal from where it's at now to your place,
All right,
wherever
let
we
me
go,
sit over here
the
next to
emotional
this
stress
butthole.
at that point in time, is something done in between there before the removal to make sure that this animal will not have such a stressful move, or leaving that environment would have an effect on it?
Yeah, absolutely, and I appreciate you asking.
Look,
that
I'm in
question.
Louisiana.
That's something that we've specialized in all 34 years as well, is
Come on.
addressing
Come on,
that whole
Pat.
issue of
Talk
moving,
to
because it would be scary to anybody to move, even a human to have to move to a new place. And so for us, we actually work with the
Look at
animals
that.
when we get there. We don't force them to jump into a cage, or we don't tranquilize them immediately. We don't do any of those things. We take time to let the animal get
What a
used to us.
dick.
We try to
This
keep
guy's a
everything as
dick,
quiet
guys.
as
Don't listen
possible.
to
And-
his shit.
And 9 times out of 10, we can get these animals to just
He
walk
runs
right into the transfer cage on their
a
own accord.
sanctuary in the middle
Then
of
when we're
snow.
transporting them, they actually lay down. They're very comfortable because it's a nice and quiet environment in there. And then we have a whole rehabilitation process when they get to the
Pat,
sanctuary. We
shut
don't just
up.
turn them out into 20 acres and tell them to get
Come
along
on.
with everybody out there. They
Knock,
actually
knock.
go through a whole
Hello?
process where they feel very comfortable, and they
You
go through small
dumbass,
steps
leave him
to
there.
the point when they're finally released into a habitat. At that point, they're actually excited about it, and they want to be in that habitat.
Well, I guess the question was prior to you going and asking them politely, would you please get in the cage? I mean, there's something that goes before that?
Yes.
You know, is there some type of evaluation that goes before that point?
In the situations where we're allowed to, we go down and we would talk, spend time with the animals. In some cases, it's a no-knock raid, and we have no choice but to just go in at that moment. So in the cases where we're allowed to do that, we're more than willing to do it.
In August 5th, 2011, failure to have a valid USDA AWA license. Has that been taken care of?
Yeah, from what we understand, it has, but that just shows that yet another lapse where, if they're concerned about the welfare of the animals and being continually licensed, they let their USDA license
What
lapse.
is that like?